Welcome to Violet Connie Art. Today I'm going to have a quick flip through of my sketchbook. I haven't done a video for a little while because I've been a bit unwell, so if my voice is a little bit gravelly, I apologise, that's why. I'm still getting over it. And I'm just going to do a quick flip through of this sketchbook today because I haven't done any painting lately, and I had planned on doing this flip through a little while ago and forgot about it, so here it is today. So first up, I've put some stickers on my front cover. So this book I actually started back in June 2018, a really long time ago, back when I first started my YouTube channel. So my YouTube channel is now actually 2 years old, and I just did this little owl in gouache. So mainly I started out doing this book with gouache. So this was my first gouache set. So I no longer have the Reeves gouache anymore, but I've got Winsor and Newton, and I did this little painting of my little dog Daisy, and I actually have a video of that. It was one of my very first videos. I'll leave a link to that in the description. A lot of things in here actually do come from previous videos, so I'll leave links to those below. And here's a colour mixing chart from my Faber-Castell watercolour pencils and some Graphie Tint watercolour pencils. I had a colour mixing tutorial for that on as well, so I'll leave a link to that in the description. Then I did this groovy little turtle guy. I was just playing with some colours. I think these are watercolour markers and watercolour pencils and just patterns and things. Next up, I actually did get some Posca pens, and so I had played with those a little bit in this book. Here is my swatch of which Posca pens I actually own, and I did this cute little owl. And then the majority of this book is actually made up of Inktober from Inktober 2018. I'm just going to flick through this real quick, but I'm going to leave a link to the actual flip through of my Inktober sketches and explaining them more in the description below. So day 1, day 2. So if you want to hear more about what each one did, or probably my flip through closer to that actual time is better to see than this one. So I'm actually still happy with a lot of the ones that I did for this. So we've got Exhausted and Star. Precious, my dog Daisy again. And Flowing, which was music. Cruel, I really like the blotchy kind of look of this one too. Whale. And Guarded, a brick wall. I love the texture on that, it turned out really nice, and I was using my handmade watercolours. Clock and Week, lots of flipping back and forth here. Of course I've got my purple on there, had to. Angular, that was a boring day. Swollen, a really pretty fairy, a big swollen pregnant belly. And then this was my first ever full set of handmade watercolours that I'd made, and I have swatched them out in here. And I'm still proud of this set. I don't actually sell this set anymore, but it's a really lovely set to use. And Bottle, it's got some glittery, I don't know if you can see the glittery, but a little bit. And then we've got Scorched, a little cartoon dragon, and Breakable, the skull with the purple brain inside. We've got Drain, Expensive, Muddy, Chop, Prickly, and Stretch, so I did a D&D style map. Thunder and Gift, that was pretty poor effort. Double, Jolt, and then last of all Slice. And then in this book I started doing some exercises from other YouTube videos. So this exercise was from Kelly Eddington. I'm going to leave a link to her channel in the description. So it was basically go out and get some swatch cards from the local hardware shop and then paste them into your book and try and match the colours. For some of them I think I did really quite well. This one's a good match. And others not so much, so I don't think I quite got the depth of colour for this one. And I did those on a couple of pages, so here again, I did fairly well with this one here. And this one, I struggled with the darker colours, and then I never ended up filling up this page. I had good intentions, but never completed it. Then I got some Holbein acrylic gouache. It was the first time I'd used gouache, and I kind of painted out this page and painted Ariel. I'll leave a link to this video in the description as well. I actually really liked the way the gouache turned out, but I struggled with it drying so fast, but I've recently come up with a technique to stop that from happening, which is really cool. Maybe I'll share that in a later video. Then just some mucking around in my book. I think these are mainly watercolour markers and watercolour pencils as a combination. I think this one might be gouache as well. And then I got some Faber-Castell Albrecht Dürer watercolour pencils, and I've swatched them out here, and I've used them in other places, mainly to go with my watercolour paintings. I've used the watercolour pencils, not as a standalone medium. Here I did some more tutorials online, and this was from the Strathmore YouTube channel. It was an exercise to do colour blending, so I did that there. And then this was also from the Strathmore YouTube channel, following a tutorial by Miriam Tilson as well, and this one as well. And these two really taught me a lot about using gouache in more of a abstract kind of way, where you can see the strokes and everything like that, and I really liked how both of these turned out. This one here was a painting in watercolour by Lindsay Werich, the Frugal Crafter, so I'll leave a link to that in the description as well. And then I did a fairy. I just drew her out and painted her, and some little character design kind of things that I was working on. Then here is a couple of gouache portraits. Not so happy with how this one turned out, but I really like this one. This is also a video, I'll leave a link to that. And then I tried to do it again. And this one is a watercolour, and I really like the texture in this. This Strathmore paper works really well. It gives this really interesting kind of texture. This is acrylic gouache again, just drawing some fish, and this one here is watercolour pencil. Me just playing with paint, dropping colours in. I think I was using a bit of salt as well. This here is just a portrait and painted with neutral tint and a wash of purple behind. I think it's dioxazine violet. I really like how her face turned out. This one here I painted straight with no sketch, so I was very it came out okay, given that I didn't do a sketch first, but that's what that was. And then I just kind of played around and did a few things. This one here was from a tutorial from Ruth Wilshaw on her channel, and I really like the play of light and how it kind of looks like it's coming across the fence line. Hers looks much better, but I still really enjoyed learning the techniques to kind of get this look. And then I started doing my own kind of landscape paintings based off the few that I had done previously here. This one was in gouache, and this one was another one of my first ones, just trying to do them on my own, and the haze over the water. This is a sneak peek to a watercolour palette that I am currently working on, new handmade watercolour paints. So it's green and a gold, a silver and a blue, but more about that probably in a few more months' time. This was actually done in Inktense block pan set, and I really like how this turned out. I really love the sketch beforehand, and usually I feel like I've ruined the sketch a little bit when I put paint on, but for this one I actually feel like it still turned out really quite nice. And here are some more of my landscape painting. I really enjoyed how these came out as well. I actually did a video on these, and I'll leave a link to that in the description. And then this was my redraw that I've just done recently. I'll also leave a link to this in the description. And I really like how she turned out. The sketch I think was a lot better, but when I put the paint on I kind of messed up her nose a bit, so she doesn't look quite like the reference image, but I still like how this one turned out. It looks like a person, so I'm happy with that, even if it's not an exact likeness. And that's it. This was I got some dip pens, and I went straight in and tried to draw something with a dip pen. Didn't come out great, but that's it. And that's pretty much everything for this sketchbook. So it was a Strathmore 500 series mixed media sketchbook, and I really enjoy this, and my newest sketchbook is also the same one. So if you've enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe as always. I really appreciate it, and it helps out my channel a lot. And I will see you in the next video. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.